Imagine you don't have a lot of experience writing code in a specific programming language, such as Apache Gremlin to query graph databases. Well, Amazon Code Whisperer can generate code suggestions using GenAI, potentially saving you a lot of time. By the way, if you don't know how to get started with Amazon Code Whisperer on VS Code, check out our quick start guide. Tiffany has an awesome video explaining some of the top features. Remember that all the code and assets we use in this video have been deployed in the previous videos from this series. So make sure to watch them first. So now let's get started. Now, using my Code Whisperer plugin in Visual Studio, I'm going to generate a simple function in Gremlin. So please open your CDK project, go to Neptune queries and open this empty file. What I'm going to add here is my prompt for Code Whisperer to create a function. You can change it, but basically what I'm going to ask is just a Python function that accepts a number, that runs a Gremlin query, filtering my scooters, and also where the fuel is greater than whatever you introduce as the input. So I'm just going to click Enter. And now we have a code suggestion, which I'm going to accept it with a tab in your keyboard. Think how powerful this is. Code Whisperer has generated a Gremlin function we can use directly, or at least as a good starting point. So now what happens if I want an explanation of another part of the scooters, let's say that I don't understand it, so I can ask Amazon Q to generate this in natural language. So let me close this. In the side panel, open your VPC Neptune stack. Okay, now we can ask Amazon Q to explain what is the VPC Neptune stack class doing. So for that, you can click in your Amazon Q window right here, open a new chat, and let me expand this a little bit. And here we can ask what is that VPC Neptune stack class doing to find out, for example, the details without exploring the code. This will help us in understanding all the elements in this class. For example, like the network and database components, as you can see here, the details about the availability zones, and we can even ask for follow-up questions. So the next step is, let me just move this, just a second, is to understand some specific parts of the code. So for example, if I scroll down, keep scrolling, and if you want to know what this specific part of the code is doing, we just need to highlight this part, right-click, and ask Amazon Q for an explanation. And let me expand this back so it can be a little bit more clear and we can read. And just give it a second. It's now generating the response. And now we can see some details about the serverless Neptune database, including the security details. In addition, imagine that this is part of the code that needs optimization. So let's say that some part of our code needs optimization, so we can go and click here to our data generation function, open our Lambda function, and let's say that we want to optimize this specific function, which is the one that is generating the scooters. So simply highlight, as I'm doing, and ask Amazon Q to optimize it. This will provide a series of optimizations. It will provide hints and including some performance tips, for example. So let's just give it a second. It's going to suggest even some best practices, for example, for logging and troubleshooting. And again, you can ask for follow-up questions specifically on some points if you have any doubt. With the emergence of generative AI, we can use Amazon Bedrock with the large language model to run queries using natural language to interrogate our data stores. If you haven't done this yet, you'll need to grant Amazon Bedrock access to the Anthropic Claude model in the region that you are working in. Now, let's confirm that we have granted our account with access to our foundation model. So please go to Amazon Bedrock. And on your left panel, what we need to do is scroll down a bit and go to Model Access. Click here to request access to those models. In our case, we're going to be using only Claude version 2, but feel free to use another LLM if you want to test it out. So click here to request the model access, and now we've been granted access, as you can see here. So now please go to your Jupyter environment And now we need to upload the second notebook that we have in our project. So go back to your CDK project in Visual Studio. Let's open our File Explorer. That can be Windows Explorer or the macOS Finder. And let's now drag and drop our notebook number 2. Let me do it. Okay, so that's there. And please open that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use LangChain. So LangChain is a framework for developing mechanisms using language models. In this case, we're going to use Anthropic Claude version 2. So what LangChain will help us with is to just scroll down, submit, for example, a natural language question, as you can see in step 1 right here. So for example, how many scooters do we have, but without running a Gremlin query or OpenCipher for that, then LangChain will take that natural language question to our LLM. Then the LLM will generate the OpenCipher query for that. And if you look at it, it's going to be executed in the database. Then LangChain sends that response to the LLM. The LLM converts the database results and transforms them into natural language. Finally, LangChain will return this LLM's response back to us. So let me scroll down a little bit. And let's now have a go and execute cell by cell, just to make sure that our environment is healthy and responding back correctly as we did before. So as you can see here, it seems everything is in place and healthy again. So import our libraries here. And okay, and to save some copy paste time, just open the first notebook we added, scroll down a little bit right here. And what we can do is we can just simply copy all this to save some time, instead of doing it from the outputs from our CloudFormation execution. So after this, you don't need to change anything. So now let's just import LangChain to help with that interaction between our LLM and Amazon Bedrock. So now this function is very simple, basically just going to help us with the parameters for our LLM. So as you can see here, we're going to be using Anthropic. So we're passing these specific parameters to our model. In this section, we're going to call Amazon Bedrock to create that interaction among the LLM, LangChain, and Amazon Neptune. So let me scroll down a little bit. We're now ready to start asking our graph using natural language. So let's request this. How many scooters do I have? We have 1,000 scooters, and then we created one extra scooter manually, if you remember. The one that with XYZ in the ID connected to the Cambridge warehouse. So that's why it's telling us, as you can see here, that we have 1,001 scooters. So the queries including the nodes labeled as scooters, discarding others, such as scooter parts, faults, etc. So it added a specific filter with that specific label by our natural language query. And now let's ask something a little bit more complex, like incidents. This is a little bit more complex, so I may need to help the LLM by specifying here in the prompt what is the basic structure of my graph. So as you can see here, it's telling us that we have 92 scooters that had incidents. So please confirm. So let's confirm this by running this Gremlin query and confirm those 92. Perfect. So we have 92 scooters with incidents. Let's scroll down and let's see what's happening internally every time we submit a query by changing this verbose parameter to true. So now let's ask how many scooters do I have again, but with that flag, just as the same way we did before. And is now doing all that translation from OpenCipher query, but we can see that internally. So we have 1,001 scooters, and we can see the query that it ran to get that result. So let's now do one more challenging. Let's ask for faulty suspension parts. So let's run that. The labels for the scooter parts are concatenated strings using underscore, like for example, part suspension or part underscore front tire. That's why we added this hint to our prompt to help just the LLM in understanding how to build that string for the labels. Okay, so think you could replace these rules in the prompt by simply fine-tuning the LLM model through a training data set with your specific queries. You could, for example, audit your production workload to get all this. It says that we have 21 faulty scooter suspensions. Let's confirm that that is correct by running a simple Gremlin query. And that's it. We have 21 scooters. And that's correct. We indeed have 21 faulty scooters. If you want to learn more about graph queries with LLMs and LangChain, click on the banner now for an awesome tutorial. In that video, Kelvin Lawrence dives deep into this fascinating topic using a popular and public airports graph dataset. Moving on, we can have a lot of well-modeled and optimized data, but what really helps us understand it is being able to see it visually. A recommended visualization tool you'll find in our Neptune docs is KeyLines, one of our visual graph analysis toolkits available from our partner, Cambridge Intelligence. We collaborated with their team to present a graph application built with their powerful technology. Let me start my KeyLines demo. You will not have this code, so please do not worry. This is running on my machine only, by the way, but it will connect to our Neptune database. So as you can see right here, I'm calling the API gateway endpoint created by my CDK project. Right here. So I'm also using, by the way, the Neptune endpoint right here. This connection string comes from our CloudFormation template here. So let me just confirm that the Neptune endpoint and the API gateway endpoint are correct. So as you can see, yeah, so that should be enough for me to run it. So I'm going to proceed and start my local demo. I'm going to open my web browser and let me just go to my localhost. So as you can see here, I'm now visualizing the data from my Neptune cluster. All this data is coming via our API gateway. For example, if I want to analyze a specific customer claim along with the impacted services in my business, I can see that right here. Multiple damaged parts, customers involved, and the garage even where this was taken after the incident. So let me zoom out a little bit, some additional data from my users that I can see as well. So this specific customer, I can see their details or if the accident was covered by their insurance policy. The people here could also be staff repairing the damages related to that claim. Let me zoom out. Now I can visualize the individual's connection. So let's say I want to start a marketing campaign in Cambridge. For this, I can see how my scooters are connected and offer them a discount by group of friends. Let's encourage them to use my scooters in group if I see only one of them, for example. So as you can see here, I can see the details, I can see they're renting scooters, but you know, that's the magic of real-time graphs. Imagine this with millions of customers. So now imagine that we want to analyze the distances traveled, since we're seeing an increase in the number of trips by our staff. So let me go here, and let's say that these specific users are taken for maintenance or failures to these garages. So those are the trips that we are investigating. Let's filter by non-customer drivers. And I can see these specific employees taking some scooters to like damaged garage, parts to this garage. Well, actually this one was closer to him or her. So we could analyze route optimization for my staff or run an analysis for the time spent in garages of the city of Cambridge. So maybe I will identify some garages that are understaffed or taking longer for some research to repair the scooters. So let's just go back to the demo. And so one idea could be, you know, to query the graph and see the time spent per garage for the scooters. So something like that we could do, is to write a database query for that specific analysis. Although it sounds a little bit complicated, so what we can do is we can ask Code Whisperer for help. So we can ask our AI friend to write a Gremlin query using Python, as you can see right here, to sum up the time spent per scooter. And also we can even add more, for example, something like the function it has to should be some specific command like sum, for example, from the documentation. So you can add anything to your prompt. I'm going to specify all this. I don't know, I'm just trying to help the prompt to get something better. If the result is not what you are expecting, what you can do is you can simply ask Code Whisperer to generate different approaches. You can click your right key to see different suggestions, as you can see here. This seems to be logically correct, so I'm going to accept it with a simple tab key. I'm going to accept it, and at least now we have a starting point, as we said before. So let me just, we have a query to determine the time spent by scooters in Garage now after that aspect. So this way we can determine why, for example, these engineers prefer to go to Frasers instead of Torfi Ibert, and we can create our analysis from there. If you'd like to try KeyLines for yourself, the Cambridge Intelligence Teams offers free trials and great project support. Follow the link in the description to get started. And that's it. I hope you have learned the basics of when to use a graph database versus a traditional relational database. As you have seen, one technology does not replace the other, but they simply need to be implemented for the right use case to get the best results. Thanks so much for watching, and please consider subscribing to AWS Developers if you enjoyed this series. I'll see you in the next one.